Hello, fellow knife enthusiasts. Welcome back to my channel. This is Troy from Troy's Flooring Solutions, and I'm here to talk to you about an open tag that JT's Knife Life put out there, and I also saw Jack Farmboy respond to. So the tag was for confessions, knife confessions specifically. Okay, I'm just going to start off by sharing some of mine right off the bat. My very first knife confession is that I am a budget knife collector. I'm a terrible budget shopper. I'm so bad that I used to go to flea markets every Sunday, and that's where I picked up my knives. So I've never actually paid more than $8 for my pocket knives. I used to have a huge collection from my teen years into my 20s. I probably, had over 75 knives. I used to go Sundays to the flea market, and every single knife I ever bought was either $8 for one or two for 15. And they all seemed awesome to me. They were all sharp. They all cut. They all had different ways to open. A lot of them opened fast. They were great. Different blade shapes. Loved them. Now, this is before the YouTube days, so didn't know anything about them. And I just loved collecting knives. So I collected flea market knives for about $8. Okay, that being said, as my first confession, that I am, like I said, a budget shopper. And I'm such a bad budget shopper that I spent 2 years going to that flea market looking for this specific knife, a K-bar. I was obsessed with this knife. I wanted it more than anything in a fixed blade. So I spent 2 summers going every Sunday buying these but looking for this. So I finally found it, and I was beyond excited. I rejoiced. It was the best thing in the world. It was like a $130 knife, and I got it for $35. And this specific knife was engraved to a Lieutenant John Big Bear. So I thought it was the coolest thing in the world that it was actually passed down from an actual soldier and either sold off or he had passed away and it went off on auction. So I got this knife. I was beyond excited. Now the reason I'm talking about this is because it leads into my next confession. The fact that I never learned how to sharpen. Up until just a few years ago when I started watching YouTube videos and buying more expensive knives, I couldn't sharpen at all. I tried. I bought all the different sharpening stones, quick sharpeners, and the drag sharpeners. And I just never learned how to use them right. I never really had to use them on my pocket knives. I guess I just didn't use them hard enough that they dulled out. So they always seemed to cut. I mean, they were never razor sharp, but they always cut. Now, this knife, when I got it, I didn't know that because the blade was so thick and it being a work knife, that it wasn't supposed to be hair shaving sharp. So I wanted to get it hair shaving sharp. So I started sharpening it. And I was horrible. I tried a whetstone, no good. Tried diamonds, no good. Went to a grinder, no good. I could never get this knife sharp. And finally, I absolutely destroyed it. A wonderful knife that would have done me proud, would have been great. I totally ruined it. If you can see here, this used to have a choil, and then the blade came out and actually stuck out past this flat. Now it's over a 1/4 inch back behind it. And if you can see here, it feels almost sharp, but it's not. It's totally concaved. And I could never get it sharpened. I tried everything, grinders. I didn't know anything about hollow grinds, flat grinds, anything like that. So I did everything I could. First time I tried, it was like a straight, almost like a Scandi grind or something. I didn't do the bevel. And anyhow, totally ruined this knife. Breaks my heart to this day that I did this. So I gave up after that. I never learned to sharpen. I just bought a new knife if they ever did get dull enough, which usually they didn't. Okay, so that's my first two confessions. Budget shopper, bought budget knives, and even to this day I'm still like that. I'll put in an order for $150 worth of knives and get 3 or 4 budget knives, but I will not order that one Grail knife that I want that I think is $180, maybe $190. My Grail knife is the Benchmade Crooked River. I want that knife more than anything in the world. I think if I had that knife, I probably wouldn't want anything else, but I will not buy it. Then again, maybe that's why, because I'm afraid I'll stop buying other knives. Anyhow, so budget shopper and couldn't sharpen. Now I've since watched tons of YouTube videos, watched all you reviewers and all you teachers, and picked myself up a Lansky system, and now I can sharpen knives and get a pretty good mirror polished edge. Okay, so back to the budget knives. Now, because I always bought these budget knives from the flea market, my third and final confession for now anyhow is about the pocket clip. I have always carried my knives tipped down, always, because if you see, all of these knives from the flea market are tipped down. Shoot, even some of these Gonzos that I first started collecting when I started going the higher priced knives into the 20s were tipped down. So my third and final confession is that I've carried knives tipped down for 30 years, and I actually still prefer to carry my knives tipped down. Now, since watching YouTube and finding out that's supposed to be the wrong way to carry them, I've since tried to switch, and I started carrying tip up. This is one of my favorite knives to carry at the moment, the Artisan Knives Shark. It's, tip up, and my Gonzo's tip up, but even my Rat 2 and D2 is, no, this is actually the Oz 8, but even this is tipped down. So the reason I prefer tip down carry is simply because when you grab the knife out of your pocket, you grab it by the pivot, which puts it already ready for use with your thumb right there by the stud. So you pull it out of your pocket, your hand's already on it, and it's ready to go. Everyone says tip up is the right way to carry. Well, my only problem with that is when I pull the knife out from this, I have to work my hand down, then onto the flipper tab or to the thumb stud to open it. Okay, so to me, for the longest time, that was very awkward and much slower. Also, I ran into a few problems with my knives being tip up where the detent was terrible on the knives, and when I put them in my pocket, they would actually open like this. Now, with a knife facing tip down, that's not possible. There's no way for that to shake out, wiggle out, or work out. It's not going to happen. Even if it did, you're still safe. But when a knife goes like this and opens like this in your pocket, it's a pretty good chance you're going to reach into your pocket and cut yourself on this blade. Well, I have done that multiple times. So I'm not sure this is actually the best way to carry. I've gotten used to it. It is the way I carry now. But I feel like this is slower to get the knife out and open, and it's a little more dangerous reaching into your pocket if the detent's bad and your knife shook open. So that's my third and final confession, that I believe I actually prefer my knives tipped down, and for the last 30 years I carried my knives tipped down. Alright, thanks a lot, guys. Anybody else that wants to put out their knife confessions, you're welcome to it. And I just hope everybody's had a great summer, and enjoy the video. Thanks.